And we're back. We'll try to get the beautiful flag in a better position here with how this goes. John Delarose here, the leading Hispanic voice in science fiction, author of For Steam and Country, and the novella that everybody is talking about this morning, Gravity of the Game. Gravity of the Game it's a harder science fiction novella. It is about bringing baseball to the moon and the challenges that a baseball commissioner has to deal with politically in order to do that. It's very good story that people are loving. But first, I have my first article up on dangerous.com. Look for it. It's titled Arose, which is part of my last name, A-R-R-O-Z. A joke, a media storm, and a destroyed life. Is Magic the Gathering the next Gamergate? And that's my article today. It's out there. It's trending pretty good on the internet right now. And I'm pleased to be a contributor to Milo's site. Very happy to level up again in my journalistic capabilities. Now I'm a contributor to the Federalist, and I'm a contributor to Dangerous. My credentials are just escalating big time among very large circulated publications. So my readership at this point, just from articles, my blog, thank you very much. From this new website, I mean, my readership is so much bigger than the average science fiction writer at this point that it's going to be very hard for them to keep talking about me. I remember, so File 770, for those who, is the science fiction elite kind of website. They kind of, it's like a gossip site. They kind of just take things from over the internet and then they kind of gossip about it and make a bunch of comments and all that. And they tend to talk about me usually about once every 2 weeks. But right now I've just been racking up win after win after win. I've got, Alt Hero. I've got the novel. I've got that I'm working on. I've got which is super successful already. I mean, I've got my Happy Frogs group, which we're doing some Nebula Award recommendations. I've got a lot of people talking about my Gravity of the Game for Nebulas and Hugos. And then I've got dangerous.com to my credentials. So as I sort of level up like this, and it goes in spurts, right? I'm working, something happens. I'm working, something happens. That's just how it goes. But they tend to talk about me a lot more when all this stuff's kind of happening around me. But what's interesting is they're really reaching and they're really failing at this point. You'll get there. They're really reaching and they're really failing. When they started talking about me, I was kind of, this is only back to February. I mean, I've been in this for about 10 months. But when they started talking about me, I was kind of a nobody in the scene. I had just shown up. Vox Day posted an article I wrote on his blog, Vox Populi. And it blew me up, and I went from selling 300 books to about 3,000 books, like that. And people. So File 770 found me at that point, and all the president of the Science Fiction Writers of America, New York Times bestsellers John Scalzi and Chuck Wendig, they all went around trying to talk smack about me. Kurt Busiek, from Marvel Comics, just went on this hate website, and they all just decided to talk smack about me. They wrote an article just calling me a liar, et cetera, didn't ask me my opinion, and they kept at it. And so for a while, for like 3-4 months, because I only had one book out and I was kind of new to the scene, their first comments were always like, "He's a nobody, it doesn't matter. He's a nobody, it doesn't matter. He's a nobody, it doesn't matter." And yet they'd keep talking about me. And as it turns out, a lot of them started reading my books. It's great. I started building Steam at that point, which is a slight pun because I have a very popular steampunk book now. And it's just interesting from me as a kind of professional marketer's perspective that how their sort of attacks have fluctuated. And it went from he's nobody. It went to, well, he's just self-aggrandizing. He's promoting himself. Terrible. Then it went to they tried to destroy me after laughing. I think this is actually an SJW's Always Double Down. They kind of have a trend of how they do things. They laugh at something and they mock it, right? And then they go ha 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 ha. And then if that doesn't work and it doesn't go away, this is the SJW way of doing things. They start to attack it hard. So that happened to me over the summer. I had, I was getting my Dragon Award nomination, which my first book was nominated for the Dragon Award, and they started then just going on Twitter and going on File 770 and just posting just garbage about me. I don't know any of these people, and they just post garbage about me. SJW is a social justice warrior. They're people who are blinded by identity politics of like an extreme left-wing fringe. So they started getting into attack mode, and then they learned that I didn't. I think my flag's falling. They realized that I didn't back down, and I wasn't going to stop because I was shamed by their attacks, right? So you never apologize. And the guy I wrote about this morning, who was attacked by Hasbro in the same sort of situation, has not apologized. He wrote it out right. He understands the game. When they do a thing called target and destroy, and this is what's happened to this guy in Magic the Gathering. They've tried to get him fired at his real job. They've tried to get him kicked off the internet. Basically, they've tried to shut down his YouTube channel. They target you and they try to destroy you. That's what they do. And they did that to me over the summer. And that kind of hit a peak in September for me when a lot of industry professionals, defriended me on Facebook, unfollowed me, won't return my phone calls. People I've hung out with for years. They made very big threats, and they got to a lot of people. So it culminated pretty bad, and they did that. But they kept going, and I kept putting out new stories. I've had a short story a month come out since like June about, and people want to buy my short stories because it's selling. It's the bottom line. And so they're showing up in all these anthologies, and stuff's coming out. Then I released Gravity of the Game for Steam and Country, and Gravity of the Game just people looked at it and they go, wow, this is actually really good. And somebody kind of on the left and all that was like, I like this book a lot, and I am actually going to put it on my Hugo Award ballot. And I was like, whoa. So what happens is they end up having nothing. And today's attack was very interesting. So yesterday I turned in my application to join the Science Fiction Writers of America. I have 3 short qualifications and evidence of that. And I wanted to very publicly broadcast that because I know they're going to try some hijinks in order to not let me in this association, even though it's called the Science Fiction Writers of America. I am a science fiction writer. I'm an American, and I'm a professional, and they should let me in at this point. There should be nothing there. So Mike Dwyer of the File 770, here we go. We got SFWA's next member. They started writing about it, right? Last night. John Delarose publicly applied for SFWA membership. You can check all these people's listed to verify they're all members of your club. If you try some funky stuff to disqualify with me, China Mike is, so the purveyor of this website, we found out when we did some stats on him that most of his traffic comes from Chinese bots. And so it looks like he buys certain amounts of clicks to kind of prop up his deal. So he's been called China Mike ever since then. So I have 10,000 people plus who read the blog every week. That's 5 times the amount of members of SFWA. I know you'll play fair. So I'm telling SFWA, I'm like, you know what? Don't mess with me, okay? So I guess I'm interested to see what happens with that. Yeah, he's very interested to see what happens with that. There shouldn't be anything that happens with that. And he knows it. There should be nothing that happens with this. I have the requirements. I paid the dues. I should be in the club because it is the Science Fiction Writers of America. My sympathy for whoever has to make this decision. Now, it's interesting. There shouldn't be a decision. It should just be they verify my short stories. They exist. I got paid for them. That's it. There should be nothing else to it. That is what their club requires. They are a nonprofit organization. They are actually like a 501c3. C4, C3, I can't remember what it is, that actually they act as a tax write-off for people who donate to it. They are under federal rules. They cannot mess with me. I'm going to sue if they do, for real. And I have better lawyers than them because frankly, I do better than all of them. I'd say it matters less whether his act is better or worse than other SFWA members than if there is more damage he can do once he's inside the tent. I don't even know what that means. That is a sentence that is very poorly constructed. Mike, I'm a writer here. You need to rephrase this. I don't understand it. Maybe this is the answer. I don't know what the answer is, but I said I'm excited to go to the con suite at Worldcon. So SFWA has a con suite at the World Science Fiction Convention. Thousands of people go to this, and I want to go to this. And then I will be recording with a body cam for anyone who is thinking of hijinks. All right. So the commenters had a field day with this, saying I'm threatening, blah 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 blah. That's not a threat. The problem is, and they turn everything. SJWs always turn everything around. The problem is there's a real threat to me. I have a real threat going on. My collar's messed up. I don't like this. Oh, I got the buttons wrong. Wow. Look at me, professional. That's what happens pre-coffee. So they always turn things around, right? So I have a real tangible personal threat to me, which I am in danger. I'm in real potential of physical danger from these people. So, right, somebody doxed my kid. Somebody posted my kid's medical information on the internet from this group. Somebody sent an anonymous package with a spring-loaded thing of penises to my house. There's real threats to me. There's real harassment to me, okay? So when I say I'm going to wear a body cam the entire time, I'm going to wear a body cam because I don't talk about this stuff because I don't want to encourage copycats. So I don't publish this sort of stuff. I mean, my periscopes are probably fine at this point, but I don't publish this sort of stuff. But when they say that I'm trying to threaten them in the comments here, who said this? Oh yeah, he's really into veiled threats. Bonnie McDaniel, commenter on File 770 here. Nice Writers Association you have there. Be ashamed if anything happened to it. I never said anything of the sort like that. I'm going to wear a body cam to Worldcon, and I told the Worldcon organizers this. Earlier this year, I was actually planning on getting a lot of big names from Castalia House to come out and go to Worldcon. I was talking to Nick Cole. I was talking to Jeffro Johnson, who was running the Castalia House blog at the time. Talking to Daddy Warpig. I was talking to big names in the association, and we were going to come to Worldcon and perhaps like set up a table, show off our work, because a lot of these people just don't even see us. They just see the names on the internet, and I thought you know what, if we're going to be in person and we're going to be selling some of this stuff, this will be a big deal. Every single person backed out because 2017's been so crazy with these people that they're actually afraid of somebody like trying to physically attack them or accuse them of a crime. And if you saw Diversity in Comics, the Comicsgate thing shows this is a very real threat. Diversity in Comics criticizes the establishment in these situations, and these professional writers have actually gone into secret Facebook groups and tried to get him thrown out of cons, falsely accused of crimes. Worldcon is in San Jose this year. It's about 25 minutes from my house. I got to go. I got to be present. I am one of the leading voices in science fiction. So it'd be ridiculous for me not to be there. So everybody else pulled out though because there is a real credible threat. Diversity in Comics made it worse because what's happening to him, he didn't make it worse. The people trying to attack him made it worse because. It's a real tangible threat. It is something that we have evidence of people doing at this point. And so, of course, I'll wear a body cam. 100% of the time, I will be recording. I cannot risk somebody accusing me of harassment, which I'm never gonna. I'd never do that to somebody. I'd never. I'm a gentleman. I'm a Christian, right? I mean, so there's no possibility of me acting like these heathen infidel degenerates do. But they'll accuse me of that regardless. So I'm going to bring my wife with me. Always have your wife at your side, 100% of the time. Always the best thing to do in a situation like this. Going to be recording the whole time. That's not a threat, but it is a warning to people who want to threaten me. So if you want to do physical harm to me, or if you want to falsely accuse me of crime, there's going to be hard evidence of that, and I will be able to actually retaliate with legal proceedings. and that's why I have to do that. It's unfortunate. I mean, I wish I didn't have to buy an expensive body cam just to attend a convention and hang out with other science fiction professionals, but I do, and it's because of this hate website. It's because of this stupid hate website, File 770, that riles people up like this. And yeah, if I haven't thrown in other Castalia House authors, I'd be if you have a posse, you're okay, right? But I'm not going to have a posse because none of these people want to come out for this because of the way these people act. I mean, bottom line, they're right, and you know, I mean, I understand hesitancy in wanting to come to this. However, as I've said before, I think the take your ball and go home mentality is not a good thing. This is the World Science Fiction Convention. It does have a history to it. If we came there in mass, it would change very rapidly. The culture would change very rapidly. Signing up for these, like, if we got to stick with it, guys. And also on that note, Worldcon registration, if you want to nominate for the Hugo Awards, which I think is very, very important. I know all the sad puppies are pulling out and going home, but it's very, very important to nominate for the Hugo Awards. If you want to sign up, get a supporting membership. It's like $50. You'll get all the Hugo nominated works out of that, and you'll be able to nominate and you'll be able to vote. But you have to do so by December 31st. So make sure to get your applications in for a supporting membership. If you want to come, by the way, to Worldcon in San Jose, it's in August. I think it's August 16th to 20th. Look, I'm going to be there the whole time. My wife's going to be there. There will be some good people there who will surprise you, and there will be some good science fiction writers, especially from the older generation, that you might remember from a kid, and you might want to talk to just because I mean they're wise people who are interesting. So it'll be a good time. I promise that it'll be a good time. If you want to come out, if you're on a budget or something like that, I have a pretty sizable house, so I can actually host a few people. So just talk to me about that, and we can figure something out. But that's Worldcon, and yeah. So this Bonnie McDaniel, I'm not making any veiled threats. I'm just going to wear a body cam because it's because I can. I'll probably have problems if I don't. Let's see. So at this point, they started commenting about my book, The Gravity of the Game, my novella, which a lot of people are nominating for these awards, and this is where it gets fun. Okay, so I need help getting momentum for Gravity of the Game so I can get Nebula and Hugo it deserves, and of course they called me. It was nice to see your selfish, egotistical motives. So on my blog, which is a promotional tool for my books, I was selfish. Thanks, Bonnie McDaniel. Yeah, that's kind of the point of a blog, is to promote yourself. So it's kind of the point of social media too, is to promote yourself. And then PJ Evans comments, that's not how these get awarded. I guess JDA, that's me, has never bothered to find out that stuff because he's such a greatly deserving author. I don't even understand that means. So it's not awarded, so I don't know. I don't know what to do there. But here's where it gets fun. All right? So this site has been toxic. It's had people sending packages to my house, doxing my children, calling me all sorts of nasty names that are just, I mean, it's been verbal abuse, like real abuse from these people. And here's where it gets fun. The next comment. Check this out. I read Gravity of the Game because I was curious about the concept, and it's actually pretty good. He has a fairly interesting narrative premise, a likable protagonist, believable grounds for conflict between the protagonist and antagonist, a satisfying resolution. Boom. I know the author has made a few enemies, but we should all weigh each individual work on its own merits. I can't find anything objectionable about Gravity of the Game, and there is nothing objectionable in there at all for anybody, and I'll get to that in a second. Still weighing what I'll nominate for novella, it would be a completely reasonable work to nominate, and utterly unlike a lot of what was nominated in the past. All right. Thank you. This is so brave of a person to go on this website where they're going to get shat on for just they're just saying, look, weigh books based on whether they're good or not. Don't weigh them based on. Can you believe that? I mean, on this person is amazing, and that's true. That's 100% everything I've been saying since I've shown up in the field, and just seeing this and seeing that somebody's seeing what's going on, it is crazy that it has to be said. The fact that somebody on here is seeing, wait a minute, John's getting attacked all the time, and these people aren't reading his books, and they're just shitting on it. wait, this isn't right. And this is starting to happen, and this is part of my marketing, and it's part of the persuasion, and this is part of not going home. This is part of sticking around. This is part of making videos too, because when I make videos, I show that I'm not, like in writing on the internet, everybody looks really angry and everybody takes the worst possible assumption out of what's there. But when you see me face to face like this, you can see that I'm not out there like with my blood vessels bursting or whatever. I'm actually just kind of a happy guy, and I think it helps a lot. So that's why I do this sort of thing. But yeah, this is amazing. I'm very, very pleased with this person. I don't want to dox them because this is brave enough of what they're doing. But of course, then the hate comments for this person comes in. So Mike Glyer, China Mike himself, actually commented on my book, and I love this. Mike Glyer commented on my book. Okay, I've read it too. It's an average, not bad. My book is not bad. Unchallenging story. Someone with a Nebula vote should be able to find 50 or 100 stories that belong ahead of it. So there's only 50 or 100 stories that belong ahead of it, and it's average. So I am doing an average job as a professional writer, according to a person who hates me. Hates me. Okay? This guy wants to say my book is bad. This guy wants to say my book is terrible because he'd love nothing more than for my book to be awful and for him to be able to say, oh my gosh, John is ridiculous. And he can't even lie that hard because it's that good. That's what I take out of this. But let me talk about average unchallenging story. This was Gravity of the Game actually is a very, very challenging story. It's got a lot more to it than you think it might. Yeah, tax cuts are going to kill everyone. Exactly. So when they talk about this being an average, so he tried to poo-poo this as it's all right. Okay, that's the worst he could say. That's the worst my biggest detractor can say about my writing. That's amazing. And he read my book. He read my book. Kudos to him for actually reading it. That's pretty cool. But it was a very challenging story. Here's the deal. So if you haven't read it, Gravity of the Game is about baseball in space. It's about a commissioner who's bringing baseball to the moon and has to deal with there's gravity issues with that. Baseball doesn't work without gravity. Spoilers. And he then has to deal with trying to convince this giant monolith organization, the World Baseball League, or an allegory for the MLB. To actually pursue this, right? And so that was my crux at the beginning of the story there. I wanted to, how would baseball work in space? And I researched this for a long time. I researched gravity for a long time, and I looked into it, and I spent a long time just thinking about this, and I shouldn't have spent my time thinking about this for marketing considerations, actually. But I did, just because I'm passionate about baseball and I'm passionate about science fiction. And I found out that it doesn't work. There's no possible way to make a game like baseball work in a gravity that is different than Earth, because there's just too many complications to it. And so I had to change my hard science fiction story from that to kind of hand-waving some certain elements and focusing on the socio-political elements of dealing with different teams, dealing with different geographies, dealing with some angry people who want to oust him from his commissionership. And I wrote a very, very personal tale at that point, right? You can't have moon baseball because the ball would fly so far that upon any contact it'd just be over. Everything's either a home run or a strikeout. There's nothing else. Just doesn't work. So yeah, so it was really hard. It was challenging to present that. And second, baseball and sports are very not. Science fiction people, on average, don't like sports. They try to, yes, you could give the ball more mass, but that leads to other problems. Yes. But the other problem is the running element, because you can't I guess you could give people boots more mass. It'd be very difficult. That's what spoilers, that's kind of what I end up doing. So, okay. So, where was I? So baseball fans and sports fans and science fiction fans are not the same group. They are over here, right? the baseball fans are kind of normies. They poo-poo all the geeks. The geeks poo-poo them as stupid, and they actually do the same things. Like they're obsessed with their fandom, and they dress up wearing jerseys. They dress up as cosplay. They're obsessed with their fandom. They're actually doing the exact same things in their little monkey groups, but they hit each other over this. So sports fans and science fiction fans typically don't cross. So as a concept, this, like, I should not have spent my time writing this, right? It was a way, just from me marketing, I should have done anything else, like a steampunk novella, a military science fiction novella. Putting this out actually does not do a thing for my brain. It was very challenging to be able to write a compelling story, and I wrote a compelling story that a science fiction fan like Mike is a long-time science fiction reader for decades, that he thinks is average. He doesn't care about sports. So I made him care about sports enough to read the whole thing, not put it down, and think of it as average. Think about how much work I had to put into the characters and world building in order to do that, right? So there was a huge challenging element there because I knew I had to cross that divide, and I knew it would be hard to do so. And to get this many people talking about it positively shows how I succeeded in that element. But number two, I did a couple other things that I did just from an artistic challenge standpoint, which made it extremely challenging. One, I did not write this from an outline. I got way deep into the head of the character in this one, and I said, I'm just going to go where the story takes me, and I'm going to let the character dictate what goes on, and I'm going to do that. So I've never written another story without an outline, ever. And I will never do so again, by the way. I thought it was very difficult. I had to, he totally did. He definitely had to say I was bad here, but he couldn't even say I was bad. That's still the takeaway. But I didn't write it from an outline, and I had to edit it. I had to edit it hard in order to make this work and make it as tight as it is. And I think it turned out really tight. It looks like I wrote it from an outline, even though I didn't. And that was a very challenging aspect artistically for me. The final and most crazy artistic thing I did, this is unheard of in science fiction these days, unheard of in fantasy these days. I put no violence, no sex, and no swearing into this book. All three. So I told a story where a protagonist and antagonist had problems. They solved problems. Things happened. It was compelling. It had emotional elements to it, to the point where Mike even liked it enough that it was average. And it had no violence or sex in it. That is very challenging. I would love to see anybody who's getting nominated for Hugo Awards attempt to do that, other than myself here. I challenge everybody to do that. That's a big deal. And I don't know that I'll do that again either, because that was very hard to write. I think it did pretty good. But yeah, my degeneracy, right? But it was very challenging. So Mike was very wrong about it being an unchallenging story. Those elements were extremely challenging to write and to make compelling to science fiction readers, and I succeeded in that. And that's a big deal. And that's why I think this is going to get some traction. So that's what Mike said. And of course, more people chimed in. We got JJ. He's a contributor at File 770 here. He came back on my SFWA deal. JJ just likes to talk smack about me a lot. I've never talked to this guy. I don't know who he is even. But he says, given his horrendously harassing behavior of numerous science fiction authors, especially SFWA's president, this has been so egregious I would have expected to have a legal protection order against him. What? First off, no. I asked about legal protection orders because the SFWA president actually got people sending packages to my house, and I thought, you know what? This is something where I need legal protection from this lady. And I asked the police about it. I asked attorneys about it. Because it was not a technical threat, and because no threat was made to me, I couldn't even file a suit on grounds of that happening. So my saying mean things on Twitter because she did that to me is not, and because this woman went out and told my cover artist for my books, beautiful covers, not to work with me again, and got him really riled up to where he won't even respond to me these days. And so, she went and targeted my business and actually hurt my business, got people riled up, so they sent packages to my house, and I can't file a restraining order on her. So if you think that there's some legal proceeding because I said a mean thing on Twitter in response to that, you're crazy, and that's also not harassment. That's just called retaliation. And I wasn't even that mean. I don't even think I've been mean to, I'm sorry. I won't lie. I've been mean to Cat Rambo. Okay. But, I mean, I retaliated. And, I don't know. I don't like being mean. And I think for most people, I actually have not been mean to. I think she's the only one I can really say I've been mean to. But come on. I think SFWA could legitimately deny him membership on the same basis they did with Vox Day. They cannot, because this is a 501c3. It is a legal institution. It is not just they can't do that. And they kicked out Vox Day because they found by law means to do so. Whether that was honest or not, that's what happened. But that's JJ's comment. He's a File 770 guy. And they keep going. I mean, of course they keep talking about me. Apparently, JDA, that's me, aspires to be the James O'Keefe of sci-fi. I like that. I'm going to start calling myself the James O'Keefe of sci-fi. I'm gonna mark it with that today. Thank you. That was Dex on File 770. The James O'Keefe of sci-fi. How cool is that? All right. So then the person who came back, who wrote the nice comments about my book, thank you very much for doing so again. Very brave of you to speak positively on my book on this website that dedicates itself towards hating me and has people just pile on, which you've seen now if you're watching this Periscope. But he came back to Mike Glier's comments on my book, and he said, fair enough. In my opinion, there are 50 or 100 works in most categories worthy of consideration every year. I agree with this. And there's probably more. This is true. There are a lot of good stories out there, and not that many all get that much attention. And it's all marketing or what magazine you happen to have been in or who happen to promote you that determines what attention it gets. That's the reality of it. So then he says, if GOTG, which he means Gravity of the Game, ended up on a Hugo ballot, would you put it below no award? So this is interesting. And a lot of people followed up and said yes, that they would put it below no award simply because of my identity, because they dislike me. They don't care what the story is. They don't care what's in it. And that is just, they always talk about, hey, there's a female in the book who in the deal who does good things, and she's presented positively. And my book's very diverse, very diverse. So where was I at? You lost my train of thought there because that was pretty funny. They kept poo-pooing me at that point, of course. This guy, Jim C. Hines, I don't know who he is. I told him earlier, I just tagged him on Twitter and I said, please don't talk bad about me. He says he's been trying hard to be the next Vox Day. Getting rejected from SFWA is the next item on the checklist. I imagine he'll be escalating feuds of nastiness until he gets himself thrown out. I don't escalate feuds with anybody. If Cat Rambo today says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to turn your artist against you, which, she didn't, somebody messaged him privately about her, and I think she did it or she sent one of her accolades too. I didn't mean to spur people doxing your children. That's over the line. I don't approve of that, and that was not my intention. I know we had a fight. I said some mean things. I'd be like, you know what? I said some mean things too. Forgiven. We're friends. It's that simple. I just don't want people being terrible to me. So, Jim C. Hines, whoever you are, you got a bigger Twitter following than me. Just be nice, my man. That's it. That's all I ask. And I think that's it. Out of curiosity, what rights and benefits does a SFWA member have? This is a commenter on File 770. Great question. There's very little this club offers, and that's kind of the fun part. So it's a charity thing. They used to offer medical benefits, but Obamacare kind of wiped that out. They used to. They have a forum, like a literal forum, like so a Discord chat / Facebook group for those who don't know what the internet used to look like before 2006. So it's way out of date, and I want to fix that. I assume the volatile aspects would be internal SFWA roles, publications, elections. I don't know if nearly any of those at all, how much influence a lone SFWA member has. Correct, a lone SFWA member does not have a ton of influence on any of that stuff. I'd be one of 1,800 people voting in these things. It's not a big deal. I'm a professional. They should treat me like a professional. My boy Paul Weimer, whatever his name is. The thing that comes to mind with SFWA membership was an incident where a notorious former member of SFWA used its Twitter account to point at racist and divisive posts against another member. This is my contention for a while. Yes, Vox Day posted on their Twitter account to attack another author. He got kicked out because he did that. Cat Rambo did this to me. Cat Rambo posted a Twitter account to attack me with the SFWA account, and then blocked me from the SFWA account, which is an organization, a charitable organization that is tax deductible, and she violated their rules in the exact same way that Vox Day did. SFWA did nothing about it because it's okay to attack me, and that is part of why this whole thing escalated. Kat did a terrible thing right there and never apologized for it. So thank you for Paul Weimer for pointing that out. Paul Weimer called me the greatest Hispanic writer on Patreon, by the way. So please go to my Patreon and check that out if you like my content. I have short stories coming out every month. They'll be fun. A lot of them are going to tie into my books, and they don't care about hypocrisy at all. My whole job here is to point out their hypocrisy and just get them to play nice. That's what I'm trying to do here. And I think once I'm in SFWA, I assume they'll probably play fair because of their charitable status, and they probably don't want a lawsuit from me. That they'll play fair on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have most of the heat will be directed at me because I'm a very public figure. R.I.P. Kate Stanley, indeed. Terrible what went down there. I'm a very public figure, and the people in SFWA, there's a lot of people. I've gone through their membership list, and I've got a lot of friends in there. I've probably got 100 plus friends in there. So I've got about about 1/15 of their membership are actually my friends, believe it or not. So they, a lot of them are quiet and keep their heads low, and they do so intentionally. And I'm not going to name them because I'm not going to get them in trouble. But if I'm kind of involved in something like that, they can kind of work a little more while I kind of get the fire directed at me. And I think I can perform an invaluable service for all science fiction writers by having that happen. So there it is. So File 770 attacked me again, and all these people came in and kind of just derped on me again. I've never been. I don't see why they keep doing this, but they do. And it's really sad. But the big persuasion point here is I keep saying, first it was they mock me, I was a nobody, then they attack me, then they say, guys, ignore him. If you ignore him, he'll just go away. They did that for a couple months after they did their block campaign of me. That didn't work. I still, I keep climbing the ranks. My journalist credentials keep getting bigger. My books keep selling better. I'm getting more award nominations by people. Marion Zimmer Bradley's daughter this morning said that Gravity of the Game should be nominated for a Hugo Award. That's pretty big. So it's going really well. And so now they're back to, okay, I can't make them go away with that. We should just go back to our little circles talking smack about them. And in there talking smack, because my books are so good, they can't do it. They can't even say anything negative about my books. I have no negative reviews from real reviewers. I only have, on Gravity of the Game, I have 2 fake reviews, of people who obviously did not read the book. And they came on when Ben Lindbergh from The Ringer, a sports news website, called me a white supremacist. Or no, he didn't call me a white supremacist. I'm sorry. I retract that. He encourages people to by calling my work hateful, who then they jumped on me calling me a white supremacist, which doesn't make sense because I'm Hispanic. But that's that. That's what's going on. The attacks are still coming. I'll just call it. I'm calling everybody out by name who does it. A couple days ago. I haven't gotten called KKK yet. That's interesting. I get Nazi, but they understand that I'm Hispanic, so that doesn't work for them. A couple days ago, I got some attacks from, again, the same website, just sent more people towards me. There was an author who attacked me. There's a few. I got the guy from Amazing Stories. He commented again on this, of course, and botched his attack again. He's pretty funny. Yes, I am. And another author attacked me. And he actually, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. This might be the coolest. I tagged him, and then he added me on Facebook, and he talked to me. and now we're friends. And so after I called him out, he realized, okay, maybe I shouldn't just attack somebody. And he's a reasonable guy. And yeah, I'm going to support his future books now. So I'm very happy that there's one person. This is the first ever to my reach out and say, hey guys, you shouldn't be attacking me, to respond positively and stop attacking me. The first time an author's done that. So things are moving big time in the right direction. By this time, 2019, I'm going to be respected by most of this community too. It's going to take 2 years. It's going to take my going to Worldcon and talking to a lot of people in person. But it's going to happen. It's pretty good. So thank you, everybody, and have a good day. And please check out Gravity of the Game if you haven't. Consider joining a supporting membership of Worldcon or going to Worldcon. And check out my article on dangerous.com, because this is the same thing happening to somebody else. I appreciate it. All right. Appreciate you guys being here, and have a great day.